being a man of prayer, more than any other man I've ever read about outside of Scripture. George Mueller is the definition of a prayer warrior. There were two friends of his, that were lost. And he prayed for them for over 50 years. So he knew these men as young men, when they were all young men, and he started praying for them that God would speak to them, that God would save them, that God would change them, that he would be real to them. And for 50 years, they just kept on being who they were. They were always friends. He was always friends with these guys, but they just did not believe in the God of George Mueller. As someone once asked George Mueller, here's the story. Shortly before George Mueller died, an old man, one of these two men he'd been praying for 50 years gave his life to Christ. And someone came to George Mueller and said, "Isn't that amazing? Aren't you amazed that that happened?" And I don't know how I'd respond, but this was the response of this man of God. He said, do you think I'm surprised? Do you think I'd be praying for them for this long if it wasn't because I thought they'd get saved? And then George Mueller died shortly after that. And shortly after he died, the other one gave his life to Jesus. 50 years of praying for these two men. And then I think about how often we give up on each other. How often we have that, "Well, I tried." I mean, let's not give ourselves too much credit. Half the time or more, we don't even try. But when we do, how hard do we try? How much do we love that soul that we see is struggling and wandering from Christ?